Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is part 2 of my Vietnam adventure, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications when the third and final video comes out. Normally, when I grab my camera while traveling, I focus on the landscape, just like Ha Long Bay in the previous video. But the more I traveled around Vietnam, the more I found myself drawn equally to some street photography. It could have been the hidden stories or trying to capture a unique moment, but I was definitely starting to understand the lure of street photography and chasing the moment instead of chasing the light. Let me know in the comments if you have ever been caught between two types of photography and what drew you to them.
So I'm in Saigon at the moment, now known as Chi Minh City. I've got up for sunrise, but I think I'm running a little bit late, as usual. So I am having to come up with a different option. We're just over the road from, I think it's the Saigon River, I could be wrong on that. And sunrise is about to happen in probably another couple of minutes. So I was going to go down and explore, but I'm not going to have the time for that. Also, there's a fair bit of work happening on the other side of the road. You probably hear a fair bit of noise in the background, a bit of construction work, and I wasn't too sure where I could actually go to try and get a decent shot of the river. So I'm on the 3rd floor of the hotel. I found a window that I can open and maybe just shoot through. So it's a little bit lazy, which is kind of my style, but I think this will actually work, especially given the lack of time that I have. So this is the shot that I'm looking at. I'm zoomed into about 40 millimeters just to try and get around all the work that's happening. If I zoom that out, you'll be able to see a fair bit of the work that's actually happening. I'll actually show you that on the video. So there's big barriers up, there's a lot of cranes and all that kind of stuff around, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as I can. It's a real shame because it looks like there was a jetty there, so it would have been nice to get out on the jetty to take some photos. This is the shot, half a second, f11, ISO 100. I might take 2 shots of this. I am going to take a shot with the exposure set for the sun. Okay, and then I'm going to try another shot that's probably exposed more for the buildings. Okay, and while I'm about to go up and explore upstairs, here's the shot. So I have convinced myself not to be so lazy and come out for a bit of a look around, and I found a statue of Tran Phung Dao. To be honest, I'm not too sure who he is, but I'm sure he's quite important. There's a water feature around the statue, so I'm using that for some reflection, and there's a second shot at some nice light. So the sun has actually come up, but the clouds are a bit low, so they are starting to get some color just as the sun's starting to come up. This is the shot that I'm looking at. This is the statue. I've actually just started the shot going on the camera. I don't think I've got that much time to be faffing around. F11, 30 seconds. I have a ND filter on the lens as well to try and smooth out the water and get a better reflection, and ISO 100. So hopefully that's going to come out. I'm going to take 2 shots. I'm going to take a shot to expose for the different lights, one for the sunrise and another one for the statue. And here's the shot. Okay, so here's my next composition. The sunrise is still happening. There's still a bit of color in the sky. And I've set up this composition to try and capture some of the buildings, capture some of the sunrise, but also to capture some of the old jetty on the right-hand side here. I'm using that as a bit of a leading line just to point towards the sunrise. Not too sure if that's going to work, but that's my thinking. So this one, again, I've got the ND filter on. It's 30 seconds. I've done it to 2 shots again, one to expose for the sky, one to expose for the buildings. This one will be F9 to expose for the buildings. And then I'm going to probably reduce that down to about, I'm guessing about 15 seconds to expose for the sky. I just had one of the locals wave at me and direct me down to another spot. He was trying to get me to take a shot of the sun between the buildings. So I didn't know what he was actually going to show me. So I decided to follow anyway. I figured he would actually have a better idea of what was going on than I did. But as I got here and set up, the sun just went behind some clouds. So I think I missed the shot that he was talking about, but it was really kind of cool just for one of the locals to sort of wave me down and just show me one of the shots. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, the sun is well and truly up, so I don't think I've lost most of the color from this morning. I'm trying to take one more shot just of the bridge, and there's some nice reflections that are happening as well of the building from the other end of the river. But there's barges and boats and stuff going up and down the river at the moment, so I'm trying to get a shot in between the boats going through. So I've been standing here for a couple of minutes, still waiting. There's another one coming through now, so hopefully after that one, I will be able to get another shot. If I do manage to get another shot, here it is. Okay, that is it for this morning. I'm heading back. I think it's time for a coffee. And speaking of coffee, there is one phrase that I've picked up while I've been in Vietnam. Cafe Trung. Pretty much egg coffee. So it's Vietnamese coffee, which is quite strong. A egg yolk or 2 potentially, and some condensed milk. There's a bit of an act of putting all together, but the ones that I've had have been pretty amazing, and it's something that I'm going to try and replicate when I get back home. But I've just found this place. Looks like it's going to offer some egg coffee, so I might have to pick one up and then head back to the hotel for some breakfast. But first I've got to try and work out how to cross this road. My trick at the moment has been to find somebody who looks like they knows what they were doing and then just shadow them for a little bit, but there's no one else around, so I think I'm just going to have to brave it and try and cross the road. Alright, here we go. So this morning I have woken up on the Mekong Delta. I've made it out for sunrise 2 days in a row now, so I'm pretty impressed. And this one, I just timed this one really nicely. The sun hasn't quite come up, but there is some nice rays coming up in between some of the clouds. So I think there's banks of little clouds, and then there's sun rays coming up between them, so I'm just going to try and get a photo of those. The only problem is that I've forgotten my tripod, so I'm going to have to use something to steady the camera a little bit. I'm hoping to get maybe 1 or 2 second shots, but if not, it's not a big deal. I just think it would be nice to get some nicer reflection in the water that's going past. The water's not flowing that fast, so probably a couple of seconds is probably all it's going to take to get some nice reflections happening. But yeah, this is quite nice. There's a couple of small birds around, but aside from that, there's just nothing else, and it's so nice and peaceful. All right, I'm going to try and take some photos while I can to try and take advantage of this. I am just holding the camera here on it's basically a still fence, so I am just holding my camera steady while I take a couple of photos. I'm just doing 1/80th of a second at f4.5 ISO 100. I'm going to try bumping that up to f11 and maybe bring the exposure time down to maybe a second or something like that. But I've taken a couple of quick safety shots because the scene isn't going to last too long, so I'm going to try and make some of these adjustments and then do another photo. But here's the shot. Oh, how is this for a shot? Okay, I'm going to try setting up here. I'm just going to use the stairs as a way to balance the camera, and I'm going to take this shot. Some really nice reflections at the moment. The sun is still coming up over the horizon. I'm still doing a bit more of an explore, and I found this old boat just sitting around in the water. So I'm going to try and set this up for an image. This is the boat that I found, just kind of sitting here.
kind of very cool though. It is pointing away from the sunrise, so there's not going to be much color in the sky, but I think this is worthwhile setting up as a shot. Just an interesting shot altogether. Now I've tried to see if I can actually get maybe around the back of it, but there is no platforms or anything, and I don't feel like stomping around in the water this early in the morning. So I'm going to try and set something up from where I am. I do like the position that it's in at the moment, how it's pointing through the trees in the water. The two at the end are kind of making a bit of an arch from the tip of the bow, so I might be using that as part of the composition. Hopefully you can see from the back of the screen what I was thinking. You can see the tip of the boat just pointing out across the water and using the trees as a bit of an arch. So it's quite a nice interest point for the image. So I'm going to try and take this now. I've brightened the screen so that I can show it on the video, so it'll probably get down to about 1/3 of a second, f11 and ISO 100. Okay, I think that's it for this morning. I've had a bit more of a wander around, but I couldn't find too many compositions that caught my eye. For the moment, I might just set off another time lapse with everything just flowing down the river, and I'll see how that goes. But aside from that, I'm just gonna sit back and just enjoy the peace and quiet and the tranquility. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there next time. And there is a second shot and there's a bit of a